Coming up on Tekzilla, Pandora rocks and Veronica interviews the CTO. Jolicloud, is it the ultimate netbook OS? Stay safe when you're out on the public Wi-Fi, and a big old stack of your viewer questions. So throw a sixer on ice, fire up the grill, and prep the corn and steaks, because Tekzilla starts now. This episode of Tekzilla is made possible by Gamefly, Squarespace, and GoDaddy.com. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews of the latest tech and how to make the most out of the gear you already got.
Whether you're a beginner or tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about tech or the least scary thing on the menu at the Heart Attack Grill, we've got an answer.
I don't know if there is an answer to the least
Where's
scary
that?
thing. In Arizona?
Oh, yeah.
Don't go to the website. You'll be afraid. And you know what? If we don't have the answer, we'll track down somebody who does.
Hey, have you seen the blind search engine test?
Blind search engine test.
Yeah, it's this really cool website where...
I thought it was like the setup for a joke.
No, this is an actual real thing. It's a website that I saw today. People were talking about it, I guess, for the past couple days,
Right.
but I missed it somehow. But you enter in a search term, and then it brings up the results for Bing, Google, and Yahoo.
I have seen this.
And then at the top, you select which one are the most relevant results, and then it tells you which one the search results came from. So I searched for Tekzilla today, and guess which one had the best results?
The one that most wants us to love them?
Bing. Bing had the most accurate search results.
Interesting.
I was like, oh, all right. I guess I'll have to try it a little more.
I will give Bing another shot because when I was I do a lot of stuff for like searching for like car stuff, and you know I searched on Bing and I got like the top 25 like sites that self-reference and are useless but are really good at cracking bad search algorithms. I will give Bing another shot.
My problem is it's not the default search in my search toolbar for Safari, obviously. So I have to either figure out a hack for it, which I don't think is possible. I don't think there's a way that you can add Bing to the Safari search tools. I looked for it. I was talking about it on Twit, and they said there wasn't a way.
You could find another
Safari.
browser.
I could use Firefox or something, but I'm into Safari beta right now, the Safari 4 beta. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. But anyway,
It must
I
be a
digress.
vast improvement over the existing Safari.
I'll have to actually make an effort to use Bing from time to time. But our first question of the day comes from Dave. Take it away, Dave.
Hi Veronica and Patrick. I have a new laptop with Vista X64 on it, and it has an eSATA port on the outside. I'm having trouble disconnecting it without shutting the whole machine down. I was wondering if you could give me some advice. Thanks.
So Dave didn't specify whether the issue was not dismounting or if it didn't stop spinning after the drive was disconnected.
Yeah, I come from the, you know, on OS X I pay attention because if you don't eject things, it gives you the panicked message that you've ruined everything you've saved on the hard drive. With Windows, I just yank it and go. Look, in any case, eSATA is not as smooth as USB or FireWire when it comes to repeated plugging and unplugging. The hot swappability in that sense doesn't work so hot. Here's what you need to check. Okay, so first off, check that the right cache is disabled in properties for that drive. It's usually referred to as optimized for performance. If that's enabled, the drive will not hot swap. You're also going to need to have the proper drivers installed for the AHCI, the Advanced Host Controller Interface, and you need to make sure the AHCI is enabled in your PC's BIOS SATA controller settings. And there's a chance that if they weren't enabled when you set up your computer, you might have to completely reinstall Vista to make it run. By the way, XP is not going to handle it natively. You're going to need third-party drivers. Finally, make sure you've got the most recent chipset drivers for your SATA chipset on your motherboard. So, any other ideas out there in case he didn't fix it for Dave? Because if you do, please send them in. Because if your drive does not show in the safely remove dialog box in Windows, you should not unplug the drive while it's still running, even though I do it all the time because I'm stupid. This could cause data loss and lots of grief. Not me being stupid, that doesn't stop data loss.
Oh, that causes me a lot of grief.
Yeah, that's a completely different subject.
Just kidding. Hey, you guys want to make me happy? Send us in a video question. Just record yourself in front of a video camera asking a question. Make sure it's no longer than 15 seconds, give or take a couple seconds. We'll be easy on you. Upload your question to YouTube and then email us a link to your video question with, naturally, video question in the subject line. It's so easy. Try sending us one today.
Coming up, Veronica interviews Pandora's Chief Technology Officer, Tom Conrad, and we make sure you can do anything everywhere for a simple $1 donation. Just kidding. But now that we got your attention, people, video games aren't cheap and sometimes they suck. If you're dropping $50 on a new title, you can get stuck. Enter Gamefly, the largest online video game rental service. They've got over 6 1,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. Instead of gambling $50 on a new game, how about $15.95 a month to become a GameFly member? Then you can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as you want to keep playing with them. No late fees, no due dates, and shipping is always free. Once you're done playing a game, you can send it back and GameFly will send you the next game on your list. If you really like the game you're playing, simply click Keep It on the GameFly website and the game is yours at a discounted price. Discounts are good, right? And GameFly will even mail you the case and manuals free of charge. And if you grow tired of a title or you just don't want it anymore, you can even trade in used games for credit towards membership fees. What could top all of that? How about a 2-week free trial? Tekzilla fans get 2 weeks free when they sign up at gamefly.com/Tekzilla. Some restrictions do apply, see the site for details, and please support Tekzilla by trying out our sponsors like gamefly.com. Welcome to this week's Freebie Download Pick, a free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. This week, AbiWord. This free open source word processor has everything you need to type up documents, reports, and essays. If AbiWord's interface looks familiar to you, it's because it was modeled after earlier versions of Microsoft Word to make transition to this free software easier for those who are used to Microsoft's paid products. AbiWord supports a plethora of useful features like table styles, page headers and footers, spell checking, and grammar checking. It also features a nifty collaboration tool known as AbiCollab that lets multiple users work on the same document in real time. All you need is an internet connection. AbiWord supports many popular formats, and its low overhead means even older systems can run it without a performance hit. If you need an effective and straightforward and free word processor, check out AbiWord.
Pandora's unique method of song selection has ensured its popularity among music fans, but what is Pandora and what's behind the music selection technology? Here to help answer these and many other questions is the Chief Technology Officer for Pandora, Tom Conrad. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Veronica.
So we took a bunch of questions from our Twitter users, but we'll get those to a sec. I want you to explain a little bit about Pandora and how it works.
Sure. Well, Pandora is a personalized internet radio service on the web and on your mobile phone, like your iPhone, your BlackBerry. And the idea is you come and you tell us about music that you love, an artist, or maybe a particular song, and then we make a kind of personalized radio station that plays that artist and others that are musically similar.
I've heard a lot about the Music Genome Project. How does that factor into the song selection?
Sure. The Music Genome is kind of the foundation of Pandora. We actually have a team of 45 professional musicians who come to the office every day, listen to each and every song that will ultimately play on Pandora, and kind of analyze those songs across 400 different musicological dimensions.
Wow, so it's not just like an algorithm, it's actually people putting their own personal opinions into what the music should sound like when you compare them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really incredible. So give us a state of Pandora. I know you guys have had a little bit trouble with legality in the past. Is all that sorted out now?
Yeah, so one of the neat things about Pandora is that it's always been, a service that's legal. We're an internet radio station. There's a set of laws that govern how internet radio works, who gets paid, and so on. What happened to Pandora was, I guess it's about 2.5 years ago, this kind of esoteric part of the government, the Copyright Royalty Board, came out with a royalty decision that really put all of internet radio and Pandora in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. And so we've spent the 2.5 years since then negotiating with the record labels, trying to get a more equitable licensing structure put in place. And happily, about 6 weeks ago now, we finally resolved that issue, and so it's sort of in the rearview mirror for us.
And how does that work now? How do artists get paid for music on internet radio?
So each and every song that we play, there's 3 organizations that get paid. 2 of those organizations represent songwriters. And one of them represents both the performing musician as well as the record company that recorded the music. And so we keep track of every song that we play, and then we report those plays to these rights holders organizations, Sound Exchange, ASCAP, BMI, and they take care of paying the right people.
Excellent. Well, good to hear that everything's all sorted out, because Pandora is such a great service. It would have been really awful if it had gotten
It was touch and go
taken
for a while.
away. I know.
But,
we were all pulling for you. But we do have some questions for the audience, so we'll get to the first one. It comes from Console Gamer. That's gamer with a 3. So what makes Pandora different from other services like Last.fm and iMeme?
Well, I think maybe the most significant thing is we're a radio station. We're really laser focused on how can we be the best possible radio station in the world, on the internet or anywhere. And so that means instead of kind of focusing on social features and things like concert going and all of those dimensions of music, which we think are really well served by some of these other websites, we really focused on how can we make the best radio playlists in the world.
Excellent. And our friend of the show, Fee, wrote in, since it looks like Spotify is coming to the US soon, how does Pandora plan to compete against it?
You know, it's funny. There's all kinds of sort of on-demand music services out there. There's Rhapsody. You can buy music from iTunes. Napster has an on-demand subscription service. And I think of Spotify as being a little bit more like those companies than they are like Pandora. So if you know, for example, that you want to hear, the new U2 record, you can go to Spotify or to Rhapsody or to an on-demand service and just listen to it right there and then. Pandora is more focused on kind of the music discovery dimension. So you press a button, we play music for you that we hope that you'll love, and you give thumbs up and thumbs down to kind of guide the experience, but it's kind of serendipitous.
Van Zivalab, boy, you guys have some creative usernames, wants to know, how does Pandora make money, and especially in today's economy?
So almost all of Pandora's revenue comes from advertising. Probably 98% or more. We also make a little bit of money by selling music through partnerships with Amazon's MP3 store, their physical CD business, and of course through iTunes. And then we have another part of our business that's a subscription offering. So if you're a listener who wants additional features, you can get 192K bits per second streaming. We have a great desktop app. You can subscribe to our subscription product, which we call Pandora One, and of course we derive some revenue from that too.
Cool. Cipro Rodriguez asks, we have just an artist option without new music being inserted. There are times when I only want songs from that particular artist.
Yeah, and that's a good example where a service like Rhapsody is a really great option. Pandora as a radio station has to play by certain rules that govern how often we can play a particular artist. So, the basic idea behind those licenses is, Pandora and radio services in general help introduce you to new artists, and then hopefully you go off to purchase the music or subscribe to a subscription on-demand service where you get that kind of that on-demand fix.
So how often, for example, would you be able to hear one particular artist within any certain listening window?
I think the specifics are something on the order of you can hear a song by a particular artist about 3 times in any 4-hour period.
All right. And finally, we have 2 very similar questions. Phoenix X24, also known as Amy, asks, do they have any plans to provide the service to people outside of the U.S.?
That's something that's really important to us. I mean, certainly our vision for Pandora is a global one. But we've really been focused on making Pandora a legal service that everywhere it's available. And the licensing terms that we operate under in the United States are specific to the U.S. And so to bring Pandora even to our Canadian neighbors and certainly anywhere else in the world, we have to go off and sort of negotiate label by label, rights holder by rights holder, new deals, both for songwriters and for the record labels. And so that's just taking a lot of time, and it's something that we're focused on, but it's going to be a while before we get there. And
then Audioper wants to know, what's next? What's next for you guys?
Well, we're really excited about everything that we've done in mobile. We have this really successful iPhone application we launched on BlackBerry about 8 weeks ago. We followed that up with Palm Pre, and we're getting great adoption on all of those mobile environments, which leaves Android as the sort of odd man out, and we're really, really excited about our Android build that's coming along fantastically well and should be here pretty soon. Pretty soon.
Well, thank you so much for being here and answering all our questions from our audience today.
It's been great. Thank you.
To learn more about Pandora, visit pandora.com and follow Tom's Twitter at @tconrad. Coming up next, Jolicloud Reviewed. Is it truly the best operating system for netbooks? But first, time to thank one of our sponsors. And here to tell us more is our PA, Annie.
Hi Tekzilla viewers, I'm Annie. If you're looking for a better way to build and host a website or improve the one you already have, you should try Squarespace.com. With Squarespace, you're not limited by a cookie-cutter design or clumsy code, and you have complete control over the look and feel of your site. You can import a site from another platform or build one from scratch. It's easy. First, you build the basic architecture of your site, organizing the navigation bars based on what your particular site calls for. You can add anything from simple HTML pages to links to photo albums to category indexes. Want to change things up? Just move the blocks around using your mouse. What you see is what you get. Absolutely no programming experience necessary, because Squarespace does it all for you. You just need to pick a template and customize your colors, fonts, and layout. If I can do this in about 10 minutes, just imagine what you can come up with using Squarespace. Find out with a free trial, and you don't even need a credit card. Just pick your username and password, enter your email, and start building. And don't forget to use the code TEKZ, that's T-E-K-Z, if you decide to sign up for a paid version of Squarespace. You'll get 10% off the entire lifetime of your order, and you'll be helping to keep Tekzilla on the air too.
Looks like it's time for another website we just can't get enough of. A website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. This week's pick, Spezify. Are you tired of traditional search engines? Sick of all those organized, sensical results that you get using Google, Bing, or Yahoo? Try Spezify.com. I kid. Spezify is actually a really interesting new way to look at search results, even if it can be a little overwhelming at first. When you enter in your search term of choice, like cats for example, you're then bombarded with various types of media relating to that search term. Videos, photos, tweets, links, pretty much any site they can find with an open API, they'll put it into the media cloud. The main purpose, at least from what I can deduce, is that they want to give you a flash of inspiration. With so much media coming at you, you're sure to get the creative juices flowing, but more to the point, it's super entertaining. The randomness of some of the results can be very amusing, and since they show related terms up at the top, you can spend a really long time just clicking on new terms and exploring the results as they come in. I also love that you can hold your mouse button down and scroll all around the page. It's like being immersed in your search. So while it may not help you find what you're looking for in the same way a traditional search engine would, Spezify will definitely help you explore the web in a new way. Ever since Kevin Rose was on the show a few months ago, I've been looking forward to the new Netbook optimized operating system called Jolicloud, or Jolicloud, depending on who you ask. I've been toying around with it for the past couple of weeks, and I wanted to give you guys a taste so you could decide if this is a good alternative not only to other Linux distros, but also Windows 7 and the Hackintoshes.
So I got to ask, like, especially after that whole HP MIE Netbook optimized, is this basically, did they design an operating system around sort of the limitations of a netbook?
Well, for one thing, you can't really change the resolution, so it's nice to have an operating system that has nice big icons you can click around on very easily. The interface is super easy to use, and it is optimized for web use. Okay. Most of the apps are web-based apps. There are a few natively installed, like Transmission, but we'll talk more about those later. But it's just really good for on the go. And it's also a lot more, it's faster.
Really?
I mean, it's definitely optimized to work within the limitations of, the processing power and all the, the guts of a little book like this.
So I know like XP Home is a real dog on the netbooks. Does it feel faster than Windows 7 or the original Ubuntu installs?
I definitely noticed a huge speed increase from MIE, which may have just been my personal experience. I hated MIE, so that's beyond the point.
That's HP's sort of homebrew Linux install.
Exactly. And I have noticed it running a little bit faster than Windows 7. I can't say for sure. I haven't done any benchmarking yet, but just the overall experience has been better for me than running Windows 7 beta, which I did enjoy, which I did actually really like using. So this, it's definitely a thumbs up for me so far, but let me talk about why.
It's so aesthetically pleasing.
It's very aesthetically pleasing. I know it's very like web appy.
I got to point that. No, it's the design on it's super clean, which I really like. Anyhow.
So I'm running it here on my HP Mini 1000, which, as I mentioned, was previously running Windows 7 beta. I opted to not dual boot since I'm only working with 16 gigabytes of SSD here.
Oh my goodness.
So that wouldn't really work, right? The installation process was super easy. You just need to create a bootable USB key. It's a little more difficult for Mac users because you have to go through the whole terminal process in order to make the USB key, but for Windows users and Linux, it's just a few commands and you're pretty much done.
If you're a Mac user, find somebody who's got a Windows machine.
No, I did it myself and it only took me a couple of minutes.
Oh, okay, so whenever I hear terminal, I automatically think of typing for days.
No, they have really, really great instructions on the website, so you just have to follow the commands. I mean, you don't have to be some kind of brainiac genius in order to figure it out.
Command line weenie.
Yeah, no. I was like, sudo make it work. That didn't really happen. Once that's done, you just follow the on-screen instructions after you tell the netbook to boot using the USB key. I won't bore you with all the details since I've already done it on this machine here, but the total time took like 30 minutes, I think, to do the complete install.
Including the download and the creation of the USB key?
Well, the download took a little bit longer. So maybe 40 minutes if you're downloading it fresh right off of your connection that day.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. The operating system itself is really nice. It uses Mozilla's Prism runtime environment, and it's also based off of the Ubuntu Netbook remix, which we've talked about a little bit in the past in terms of pretty easy to use Linux distros.
Does it have? I know in the past that we've had some hardware support issues in the Ubuntu remix. Are they sort of catching up on drivers with that?
The only hardware issue that I really recall them having with Jolicloud was the sound issues. They fixed that in the most recent update.
Cool.
So I'm now getting sound perfectly fine on the netbook. It actually surprised me. I've installed the updates and I was sitting there and all of a sudden this big sound happened, like its start sound. And I was like, whoa!
When did that happen?
What? Oh, okay. Well, thanks for fixing that. They're definitely going for the cloud thing here, too. The applications that you install are primarily, as I mentioned, all web-based apps. I mean, you've got a separate app for Gmail, for Flickr, for Google Reader, for Google Docs.
And I'm always, I mean, I gotta say, I'm always paranoid because I always find myself in places where without my EVDO modem, I wouldn't have a network connection. Did you find yourself like, I'm in the subway, I can't do X because I don't have an internet?
I haven't really come across that problem yet, mostly because I have been carrying around that little MiFi with me everywhere, but that's cheating. They do have some native applications. They've got Open Office, and they've got transmission, as I mentioned, which you would need to be online to use transmission, but you know what I mean.
That would be a peer-to-peer tool.
Exactly. Yeah, they have Pigeon on there for AIM and for your other chat clients.
So, so it's not completely crippled if you're not online?
It's not, and you can save files to it and stuff. I mean, you can work within the actual netbook itself, but it is definitely much better experience, a much better experience if you're online.
Okay.
The only weird downside that I noticed is that, say you're in like the Google Reader app, you can't use your regular browser shortcuts to get around. So if you're like in Gmail, if you want to go back and forth in a history of something, you can't use like the command like left bracket and left right bracket to like move back and forth in time, which is really kind of confusing because you feel like you're in a browser, but you're not really in Firefox, which is also a separate web app.
So you're in like the Firefox runtime emulating a browser window running a traditional browser window. So
I'm sorry, Firefox isn't a web app. It's actually one of the natively installed apps, but that acts like regular Firefox. But when you're in Google Reader, it doesn't act like it's in regular Firefox. And it will actually open up Firefox when you want to click on a feed item to read full. So that's, a little bit of a downside, but you get used to it pretty quickly. And the funny thing is the OS itself is like a social network. So you can see all the applications that your friends are installing and what they're working on. Well, not what they're working on, but what apps they're playing with. It's pretty neat. I haven't added really any friends yet.
Is that like, I'm wondering, is that just sort of, it's checking an RSS feed for your friends, or is that an actual vector of attack for a hacker? Obviously, I'm still like fresh back
No, I don't
from
think so.
DEF CON.
I think it's just a feed.
It's so funny, like
on Boxy. I think it's just a feed of recently done things by your friends.
I just like find the whole Web 2.0 social aspect like in your operating system.
I know. It's like, ooh, it can be kind of a little bit scary.
Bob has installed yada yada yada.
It's
Do
not
you
quite
want to install yada yada yada?
Yeah, but like I mentioned, they've got a lot of great apps. Like Boxy is a really good one. The Boxy app runs really, really well on my HP Mini 1000, so that's nice. They've got Facebook, We Are Hunted, and they also have a separate Facebook chat app. So I'm not sure why they had to make a separate one, but it works. Twitter, NetVibes, you name it, they've got it. And like I was saying, the native apps include Transmission, Pigeon, Open Office, and more. Firefox also. So you don't always have to be online, but like I said, it does help.
Wow, so basically it's Jolicloud built on Ubuntu using Jolicloud optimized applications or running Ubuntu applications natively, or should Linux applications?
Yeah.
And it
I think that's pretty much how it works.
I like that thought.
They also have a dashboard area, and that's kind of like your central hub where everything goes on, where you can install the system updates and the Jolicloud updates, and you can also see your applications and install and remove them and change your settings. So there's a whole bunch of applications that I haven't even installed yet that I have to go through. We should make a Revision 3 one. That would be cool if you could watch all the Revision 3 shows as a web app on here instead of just going to the website.
So to make sure it's not the HD version of the show.
Why would that?
Probably cause the browser.
It might cause a little bit of a hiccup.
It would be like every 3 seconds there'd be a new.
Right. And then they've got the launcher here. That's the little blue cloud. It's like the symbol for Jolicloud, and it's the place where you can open up all your different apps, and then you can even add them to your favorite section, so you can easily find them when you're browsing around. You can click back and forth between open applications as well up here in like this taskbar, menu bar kind of area.
That's really cool.
So yeah, overall I'm really happy with my switch to Jolicloud. It's a little bit faster than Windows 7 Beta. It's a lot better and makes me much happier to use than MIE was. And if netbook manufacturers knew what was good for them, I would say just put this puppy on here when they sell netbooks instead of having, not automatically, but making it an option.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, maybe they can work out some kind of
deals. It's open source. It's optimized for the actual environment you're using on a netbook.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah, it's free. It's not widely available yet. They're still in alpha, so you can put your name on a list to get notified when it's time for you to be able to download it.
Very cool. What's the website?
Jolicloud.com.
Coming up next, more viewer questions, but first, it's time to thank one of our sponsors, GoDaddy.com. If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com is what you need. .com names for as little as $1.99, world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and quite a bit more. Your website visitors, prospects, and customers are wary of websites and online businesses that aren't what they claim to be. they're worried that their personal and financial information might fall into the wrong hands. Turn your visitors' paranoia into a competitive advantage with the ironclad protection of a GoDaddy.com secure certificate. Entering code TECH4 when you check out, you'll save an additional 15% on any order of $75 or more. Some restrictions do apply. See the site for details, and be sure to visit revision3.com/GoDaddy for all the Tekzilla GoDaddy deals and codes. Do us a favor here at Tekzilla, get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com and use a TEK code when you do. We got an email from Mark who's got some concerns about Wi-Fi security. He wrote in, I'm fairly comfortable with my home security, firewall, antivirus, router with strong password, all that good stuff. But now, for the first time, he has to use a laptop on the road and log into unsecure Wi-Fi at a hotel. What are some of the basic things he should do or keep in mind? Sort of a basic primer for newbies on the road. Mark in Louisville, Kentucky.
This looks like a job for
a virtual private network.
A VPN.
Yes. Basically, it's your very own private encrypted network inside the internets. In your case, it's a secure connection back to the mothership at home or the mothership at the office. It's really easy. I'm going to say there's lots of alternatives out there, but just download and run Hamachi. It's from LogMeIn. It's free for consumers. There's a commercial version that offers high bandwidth relays. We'll explain that in a second. It's $5 a month, $40 a year, but for basic home use, it is free. Download and install it on your home machine. You power it up. It gives you a private Hamachi network address. That's your Hamachi ID. Then you create a network. For example, I'm going to create the network Tekzilla. You have a nice password for that, and you're done. Wait, you're not done. You have to download it on your client computer, the one that's out in the internet, the one you're going to use in those nasty hotels where people have set up horrendous machines on the network to try to trap all of your credit card information. Not that I think it's particularly easy, but from what I've heard at DEF CON, it's particularly scary and particularly worth considering. Basically, you're going to create the Hamachi client on your portable notebook, and then you're going to do one more thing. You're going to create a proxy server at home, and you're going to use the proxy browser settings to send all of your HTTP traffic and HTTPS traffic from this machine through the Hamachi virtual tubes to your home or your work network. And that way you basically isolate all of the packets, so if somebody is sniffing at the hotel, you keep your information encrypted and away from them.
Yo, dog, I heard you like to securely browse the internet, so I put an internet in your internet so you can browse while you browse.
Which literally is kind of exactly what you're doing. So basically, you're creating a secure pipe to a known good or a known safe network. We're obviously assuming that your network at home or work hasn't been compromised. A little bit of a performance hit is possible, but it's basically, you know, it's looking at this over a local Wi-Fi, it wasn't too bad. Some applications are worse. A lot of people use this to set up sort of private networks for video gaming, to share iTunes, to share basically if they want to copy. If you have 3 or 4 friends, you can create a private network and basically back up files at other people's houses at different places around the world. So like when San Francisco collapses into the earthquake, my data could be safe at mom's house right before it gets hit by a tsunami because it's at the beach. So we'll probably end up putting everything in somewhere in Ohio or something.
Jeez, peso. God, knock on wood.
Yes. In any case, though,
Debbie Downer.
Debbie Downer. What's interesting about it, though, is I mentioned the whole like high-speed relays. What it does is if it can't tunnel through your network, it creates, because normally what it does is you say, I want to connect to this network, and Hamachi goes, okay, this is the information for this client, this is the information for this client, and it hands it off and becomes peer-to-peer. If not, it runs it over Hamachi's secure relays. They're a little lower performance if you do the free version. If you need a more high-performance situation, you basically pay the $5 a month or $40 a year. It's pretty, and you do that if you're commercial. If you're using it for work, pay the $40, write it off. It's worth the money. It's a really interesting tool. There are 1,000 different ways to set up a VPN. If you want to do it open source and roll your own, check out OpenVPN. Do a search on Google for it.
All right. Well, our final question comes from Ryan with a very practical question. He writes, I have an Inspiron 1501. I use it to watch movies while in the car, but that doesn't sound safe. But watching one movie will pretty much kill the battery. Is there any way that I could get a charger to use in the car? Ryan.
Absolutely.
Well, there are some model-specific chargers, universal chargers, or the cheap way to go, buy an inverter. Inverter! They're fairly efficient, work with just about anything, pretty much. Just watch the wattage.
Yeah.
Watch that wattage.
I used to be like, oh, I can't use an inverter because I need a DC to DC power converter because they're going to be more efficient. And the truth is, a lot of these are 80–90% efficient. It's nothing your battery in your car or your alternator is going to notice. Just make sure, generally, most notebooks don't suck more than an amp or two. So
yeah, don't try to run a microwave on this puppy.
No.
That would be a bad idea.
Yeah, basically, you'd either blow a fuse or you would melt wiring in your dashboard, or inverter. You'd like melt the cable on this. Basically, there's a reason like there's a fuse.
Not worth it to have that hot pocket. Let me tell you, not worth it.
You can just put the hot pocket on the exhaust manifold. Just wrap it in a few layers of tinfoil. Have you ever done exhaust manifold cooking?
No, but I've seen it in video before, and I would, if I had a car, I would probably have tried it by now.
We can drive to CES. We can cook on the exhaust manifold.
I'm not driving to CES with you.
Oh boy, 200-watt inverter is more than enough for most notebooks. In fact, a 100-watt inverter works for a lot of people. I like to use a 400-watt inverter with 2 plugs, just in case I run multiple things, and in case somebody has a notebook of doom that's sucking down a lot of amperage.
All right, well that's a great suggestion. That's a nice thing to have around.
I have like 7. I have like one of these in the trunk of every car because I'm never ever going to be in a car with a notebook without the battery working again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good idea.
Ever since the incident. Revision 3 is psyched to announce our newest show, App Judgment. It's a mobile phone application review show for the iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, and Palm Pre. At least when there's actual applications on the Palm Pre that don't come with the Palm Pre. App Judgment has a team of passionate reviewers headed by David Prager, and oddly enough, I'm showing up along with 6 fabulously enthusiastic people from Revision 3. We'll give you advice, tips, and more importantly, we'll find some of the best apps for your mobile device out there. Catch new episodes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on revision3.com/appjudgment.
And for all of you watching, we live on your questions, so email us, Tekzilla@revision3.com. Tech help, product reviews, how-tos, you ask us, we'll do it. This guy. And that guy. So don't be shy, send them in, Tekzilla@revision3.com. Or hey, even better, if you got a little extra time, send us in a video question. Think of all the fun you can have in the admiration of all your friends and family when they see your mug on our show. Just keep it to 15 seconds, upload it to YouTube, and send us in the link in an email with video question in the subject line.
And as always, you can join us in the forums, revision3.com/forums. Share your thoughts, ideas, or comments with other fans of the show.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Till next time, you've been watching Tekzilla.
Pippi Longstockings are coming into your world. A freckle-faced, redhead girl you ought to know. So put your life into a... I don't know what the last word is. Whirl? Spiral? So put your world into a spiral? Pippi Longstockings are coming into your world. A freckle-faced, redhead girl you ought to know. She'll throw your life into her world. Wait, so they rhymed world with world? She'll throw your life into her own world instead of your world. She'll take your world and make it her own. 'Cause she's the world sucker. Blah.